So it's funny. I had just come into a new organization that I originally started with as a consultant. So I'd come in, learned the organization, seen there's a huge amount of opportunity, and I just transitioned into this chief technology officer role. And I was new in that seat. It was the first time I'd been a CTO before, and I'm kind of trying to find my way. Finding the rhythm of the culture, the rhythm of the organization. And very quickly, it was apparent that, there was a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of challenge. So along that way, I'm trying to figure out too, how to best interact with people, trying to get to these business outcomes, because we're the business of business. And I kept having these conversations that for me felt really odd because everybody was trying to get me to fix their email or, I'm having trouble with the video conference or whatever it was, which these are all valid things that technology can solve for us.
You're in IT, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You must be good with this television, which is not true for me personally, but trying to have these business conversations, and I found it really difficult. I had a hard time getting people to talk to me. So I got invited to this marketing conference, and it was to set up the organization for the year. What was our marketing approach going to be? How was it going to work? And it was really interesting. So, I'm trying to get an idea of who are really our customers and what are we selling them? How does that work? We're on the operational processes. There was this lineup of speakers. They had somebody from Microsoft, they had somebody from Google. We'd gone off site to this hotel to have this discussion and had these kind of underwhelming kind of product pitches. We learned about new laptops. We learned about there's ads that you could buy at Google. It was fine. And then this guy got up there and started talking about doing things differently. How could we get to different outcomes? How could we best know our customers? What did the rest of the vertical look like? What were the challenges? And it was a very different conversation. And I immediately looked up and was like, who is that? What are they talking about? This is different. And it was this guy.
Yeah. And the fun of it all was I'd been coming to this organization for a few years at this point. So I would attend this annual vision meeting, and my job was to come in and as Jim said, inform the organization about the direction of the industry and their competitors, and ideally their disruptors as well, and to bring that information to them so that they could take action. But I had come to this organization. It was the fourth year in a row that I'd come and, presented basically 4 hours worth of, recommendations. We'd audited their business. We understand the details of how these things were working, and everything we were showing them were things that they didn't know beforehand. And I kind of was at peak frustration as a consultant at this point, because I was like, when are we going to do some of these things, not just talk about them? Because I got to a point where half of the slides could have been the same slides for the last 4 years. Action needed to be taken. And so Jim comes up to me at the break. We're 2 hours in on a 4-hour conversation that at this point was pretty challenging. There were some people in the space who didn't want to talk about the fact that things weren't perfect in their story, that they were going to go back to the board or the other C-suite members. And so Jim comes up to me and he just nonchalantly is like, can you do the things that you're talking about? And in my typical fashion, I was like, well, yeah, of course. And that was really the start of the conversation. We'd never met each other before then, but we instantly fell into the fun of the work and the opportunity to massively disrupt an industry that was, had players that were all a century old. I mean, these are 100-year companies. And we just realized, man, new emerging technology and business models that are being applied in other places. If we could bring those two things together, not only would it be a lot of fun, but we would completely change how everything worked.
And it's so powerful, right? Because we could both see the massive opportunity, the massive potential of the organization. The only challenge was we'd change lots of things, so that the change curve was intense. The energy needed to change that trajectory was intense. And what we found was we were really both excited and energized by it. So like it was clear there was a big opportunity. There's a lot of work. It was going to be really difficult, and that's the fun part. Right?
Yeah.
Is figuring that out and working together.
Yeah. And so as part of that, we basically kicked off a whole series of opportunities to diagnose the business and understand those details. And then it led really in a big way to actually delivering on that vision. So coming out of about a 6 to 9 month period of just absolute intensity around understanding the most minute details around how to fix these problems, and work with the board directors, which was 18 people, and then also the entire senior management team of this organization. We worked through that process. We built a plan. That plan was then chosen, and we were actually asked to start a company. So when this enterprise looked around, they recognized that the opportunity in front of them required them to take a dual transformational perspective, which was they had to continue to work on some of these legacy components of their business. They had a lot of in-house cleanup. And what they needed was for us to take some of the technology and especially the resources that came out of the mining we had done around data that wasn't being used well or at all, which we find to be the case for most enterprises, that they're sitting on all this powerful data that can drive new products and new services. And so we discovered computer vision models that could drive efficiencies in the customer and the operational experience. We built an instant pricing model that came from the data they already had. It shortened the time to quote for these home services by 8 days. I mean, it's massive. And then we built a company.
Yeah. So we went from understanding the business intimately, the problems, a lot of the discovery work. We went through the sales process of helping bring this idea forward, give it life in the boardroom, and manage through all of the change curve there, because this was not a normal activity for the organization. It was pretty far outside of their comfort zone in general. And then we all of a sudden turn around, and now we're literally founding this new business. So we're a startup that's got enterprise partner that is trying to move really fast to achieve these outcomes, to get to these results. And we learned a lot. And what we learned is finding the balance between the positives in an enterprise and their mass, their assets that come in many flavors. How do you find the right balancing point for that with a startup and its unparalleled ability to move quickly and to shift and adjust and find direction and opportunity? It's amazing. And it was a journey that was really possible because we came together. Seth coming from a startup background, in being used to moving at speed and working with these clients. I came at it from an enterprise background, used to working with these assets and sizes at scale, and coming together and creating this net new capability was really an amazing experience that got very real results.
Yeah. So not only did we build all these new technologies together and this new business model, and we got a chance to validate it really fast. I mean, we were given 90 days to build a company from scratch, to build the technology and the resources and really drive this experience forward. But we went through that process. We got really amazing customer validation. We changed the industry and the opportunity. And as we were moving into our second year and going through that process, we basically were asked to bring this startup, its culture, because that was really different, its connection between acceleration, right, and mass. I didn't move fast and use all these resources and assets. We were asked to bring that back in along with all the technology. So we did. And for the last year, we've been working together at this enterprise to take these elements, these assets and resources, these amazing people that we had brought into this startup and scaled from 2 people to 60.